Okay, everybody, so I have started Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and it is part of the Last Hours series in the Shadowhunter world. Now, I know I haven't read the Mortal Instruments, nor have I finished the Infernal Devices. Yeah, the Dark Artifacts, because I haven't even started the Infernal Devices. But this is set further back from those two, so it gives me a little more information about the Carstairs and the Herondales, so I'm looking forward to that. The one thing I did not like about this is the way they did this. This is like weird. I don't like it. It's hard to read because it's like double-ish, and so yeah. So Cordelia Carstairs is a shadow hunter, a warrior trained since childhood to battle demons. When her father is accused of a terrible crime, she travels to London in hopes of preventing her family's ruin. There, Cordelia's childhood friend James and Lucy Horrendale draw her into their world of glittering ballrooms and supernatural saloons, and all the while Cordelia must hide her secret love for James, who is sworn to marry someone else. But Cordelia's new life is blown apart when demons attack, devastate London. Now trapped in a quarantine city, Cordelia's friends discover that their connection to a dark legacy has gifted them with incredible powers and forced a brutal choice that will reveal the cruel price of being a hero. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in this. I still haven't read any of the Infernal Devices, but that's okay. I've still only read Lady Midnight, and I haven't read none of the Bones of Ash. Well, I've technically read most of the Mortal Instruments, but I haven't for this show. So, if you guys have been here before, why don't you pull up a seat, sit down, you know the drill. And if you haven't been here before, pull up a seat, sit down. We are going to actually discuss this. Okay. I like the design on it. This part here is what I really don't like, but to make them all match like this for the spine, I gotta deal with it. So, in the first 61 pages, you meet Lucy Horrendale and James Horrendale, who work for the Shadow Hunters, in London. They have their father, Will Horrendale, and Tessa, who is actually a warlock. So they got warlock in them. They're half warlock. James Horrendale, he has this weird thing that's going on where he goes into the Shadow Realm. I'm going to assume it's, I forgot what it was actually fucking called. Yeah, the Shadow Realm. I was right. Okay. He goes into the Shadow Realm, randomly, weirdly, and he has to make himself come back. And he was in the middle of a fight when it happened. Now, I skipped over the prologue, because, like, the prologue is a little weird. You meet Lucy, who's dancing through the forest and getting lost and being helped by some strange boy, which you don't even get the boy's name until 6 years later, so I'm guessing the boy's name will come up soon-ish, I hope. Now in this one they have a Parabatai, which is their brother, warrior partner, somebody that they're connected to for life, platonically. They're not allowed to be in love with them. Matthew Fairchild is James Horrendale's. Then we meet Thomas and Christopher, who are people who help fight Shadowhunters in their team, because some of them have like teams. They're like set in teams. There's more than just one or two fighting. You have a team that work together. You don't get to meet him yet, but I'm hoping you do. Jem Carstairs, or as he's called, Brother Jonathan, I believe. Anyways, there's a lot of people that you meet in this version. Not a lot happened besides them fighting a Diomas demon. And, Carstairs. Cordelia entering. You do learn, though, that James had become friends with someone named Grace, who lived in Idris, which is where all shadow hunters usually gather for all kinds of things, because it's for shadow hunters only. And you learn that he's like attached to her in some way, shape, or form. Not sure if he's in love with her or not, but he is attached to her in a friendly kind of manner at the moment. And she's never gotten out or anything, and she's coming to live in London along with Cordelia and her older brother Alistar, who most people hate, apparently. Like I said, not a lot has really happened in the first 61 chapters. They're just setting up things and everything. 61 pages. Grace Blackthorn, that's her name. She is the ward of Tatiana Blackthorn, and they had just come to London. Apparently, she grew up into some hole in the country in Idris. They used to cross paths in the summer. So, you don't know whether or not James is actually into her or Cordelia. But this is supposed to be about Cordelia, and so far it's really been about James. So, it's just a little odd that that's how you would start the book. But anyways, we will talk more once I have read more. I read that not last night, the night before. I've actually got to read twice today, because I did not read last night, because I just felt tired. I didn't do anything while I was supposed to do last night, and I am seriously screaming at myself because I'm a fucking idiot. But that's besides the point, okay? We will talk more later. Okay, guys, so I have read more of Chains of Gold, like Cassandra Clare. As you probably saw, the little time-lapse thingy that was going on. Okay, so I had to read like 122 pages today because I did not read what I was supposed to read the day before. Things light, things lit, things do. So, there's things that happen, okay? So, they're at this ball, right? And the boy that Lucy saw 6 years ago that saved her from a fairy trap, showed up. And he immediately grabbed her and dragged her out of the hall. Reason? Only his mother and his sister can see her. Well, it's not really his sister, I guess. Jesse, for sure. He's a ghost, but he's not a ghost. It was further explained in here that his mother had some dark magic done on him to preserve his body and everything and trap his soul, sort of. So he's dead, but he's not dead. And only certain people can see him. Usually children can see him up to a certain point and then they grow out of it and it's nothing to worry about. But Lucy can still see him. And he doesn't understand why she can still see him. So besides Tatiana and Grace being able to see him, Lucy can as well. And Lucy says there's a demon. No, Jesse said there was a demon at the Chiswick house where they're staying that might have the answers to what happened at the ball. So at the ball, Barbara, one of the shadow hunters, fainted. Cordelia sat there and had the corset cut to help her breathe, but that's not really what happened. Barbara said, and James also saw it, a shadow grab her and pull her down. Now, what the fuck happened? Why pull her down? Who knows? We don't know why yet. But the very next day, all these young shadow hunters gather, okay? And they're talking, and Cordelia lashes out at James for leaving her during the dance to go speak to Grace, and then she leaves them to speak, Grace and James to speak. And then more demons attack, okay? One demon jumps out of the water. Lucy can't believe she saw it, and attacked Piers. So Piers has been attacked and then disappears. And then all of a sudden there's a big ass storm cloud that comes up in the daylight and it brings about some darkness. And more demons appear. They attack Barbara again and then Adrian. So that's 3 people that have been attacked and now they're deathly ill because nobody knows what poison was used, what kind of demons they were. Because nobody knows how demons could be coming out during the daylight. Because demons only come out at nighttime. They don't come out during the day. Kind of crazy. So, that's just madness right there. Okay? Lucy has a idea to go talk to Jesse and then go find the ghost that might have more information to help those that are in trouble. James gets the idea and he takes his friends, Christopher and Thomas, and his Parabatai into the ballroom to make him go into the shadow realm. Of course, Matthew says some evil ass things to make him go there, but it works. And Matthew's like, I don't really mean it. He only said it for the shock value to get James to go into the shadow realm. So he goes literally into the shadow realm and he sees a light and he follows it. Okay. Meanwhile, Lucy and Cordelia, who she convinces to go with her, go to the Chiswick house. Lucy says distract them so I can go do what I need to do. So Lucy goes to find Jesse. Cordelia knocks on the door. Grace answers. They have this little exchange. It's a little nasty exchange. And then Tatiana comes along and says, your cousin's just the worst, just like everybody else, and slams the door in her face. So she goes towards the garden to do whatever, okay? While Lucy is talking to Jesse, Jesse explains about being what kind of ghost he is and why he's that way. And also says that it's dangerous and stupid of you to come here. And this house is in such terrible disarray because his mother despises all of the Lightwoods in Horrendales and would like them all to just vanish and die because of what happened to her husband and her children and brothers and sisters because a terrible attack happened and she blames them for it. We're not really sure. I mean, I guess it's during the clockwork thing, so that would be the first series that I should have read from the very beginning, but hey, what It's okay. It's okay. I will deal. Okay. So then they see a wish light. So Cordelia gets attacked while she's exploring. And she gets attacked in the greenhouse by what is considered a Cerberus demon that became part of the greenhouse. And James, who had been following this light, saw Cordelia being attacked and saved her. So the two of them fought, and she got injured with the Cerberus demons. And because of all of that, James says, I saw a light. I think it was Cordelia, not Cordelia, but Cortana, the sword that belongs in the Carstarius family. And I followed it, and it brought me here. So he's still Shadow. Okay? He's still freaking in the Shadow realm. That's where he is. He goes, I got some of this dirt stuff. I don't know, this dirt stuff that he found, and he's never been able to take it before. So he's like, you and Lucy, Lucy shows up. Okay, you and Lucy go home, okay? And I will meet you there. And he goes to do a promise that he made to Grace years ago. So the promise he made was that if he ever got into the Shadow Realm and he could grab things, he would take a bracelet that belonged to Lucy's mother, real mother, not the mother that's raising her, the woman who's raising her, and give it to her. And so that's what he does. He grabs it and gives it to her. They meet up the next night. She used to be Grace Cartwright. Don't know who Grace Cartwright is, or the Cartwright family, but I'm going to assume they're all dead. So he does that. He also gets blamed the next day of breaking into Tatiana's house and greenhouse and being an extremely rude guy. And he's like, I didn't do that. I just fought a Cerberus demon in there. That's all I did. I didn't even talk to them. And he's been warned to not talk to them ever again by Charles, whom I'm beginning to hate because he seems to have some issues with James. Grace, of course, is in love with James, and James is either in love with Cordelia or Grace. I don't fucking know which one is which at this point in time. Because people have said that you're in love with Grace, and he didn't say nothing against that. And then some people, and then Grace said you're in love with Cordelia, and he didn't say nothing against that. Besides, I'm fond of her. Who the fuck knows? Okay, it's confusing right now. It's fucking confusing beyond confusion. But shit happened. Okay, shit fucking happened, and it's really, really confusing. So James did figure out how to trigger himself back into being human and not in the shadows, and that's how he got discovered wandering Tatiana Blackthorn's gardens. But of course they sat there and said that it was because he was drunk and smashing windows, which was a bold-faced fucking lie by Tatiana because she just hates his family. So that's about all it is. Well, James did talk to Uncle Jem, brother Zacharias, that's one of the silent brothers, about his shadows and everything like that, and about how he and Barbara both saw the shadows the night of the ballroom dance and the day of the park problem. Okay, and then Cordelia tried to talk to Jem about her father and how he's being tried by the conclave for something that he technically didn't do, because they're trying to get a group of people, shadow hunters, were trying to get to this other place to fight these demons, and some downworlders are accusing them of trying to invade their territory. I believe it's vampires, and a bunch of shadow hunters got killed, and all the people that were there, all the leaders that were part of this group of shadow hunters, are all blaming her father, Cordelia's father, Elias, for it all. Like, straight up, for it all, for everything, saying it was all his plan, that he was trying to get downworld territory when he wasn't. So she's worried about that, and that's the reason why they come to London, to get some friends, allies, so that way their family is not disgraced. Now, obviously, the family is not disgraced, because in Lady Black, the Dark Artificers, the Carstairs are still an important family. Now, whether I remember if Ellis is dead or was killed for what happened, I do not know, but I am sure it will. I don't remember. I will be reminded in this one of what happened. So there is that. So I will update you guys tomorrow on more readings of this. Okay. It is lovely, and hopefully I will be able to actually finish, because I am running out of days. I am slightly behind in some of my reading. I still have to read 2 more days to catch up because of that. So yes, probably even 3 more days to catch up. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this. There's a lot of stuff that I don't really know how it happened. I got behind somehow. Severely behind by like 2 to 3 days. And I know 2 days are my fault, because while I was reading the games that Gods play, I didn't read for 3 days of that, and I forgot I didn't read for 3 days for that. And I read to make up for 2 days. So I read an extra day for that day, not realizing until the very end that was wrong, obviously. That I should have caught up somehow in that way. So now I'm still behind by at least 1 day. But I didn't read this for 2 days. Well, 1 day. But I'm going to read for 2 days, but I'm still somehow behind by 1 day. Maybe there's another day that I didn't read, but I'm not sure how that's possible, to be honest, in any way, shape, or form. But I guess that's it for my updates and stuff. We will see you guys in the next update clip of this. Okay, so okay, folks, so I have read more of Chain of Gold. Still don't understand why it's called Chain of Gold, but I assume we'll eventually get to. I am like 306 pages in, and I don't know why it's called Chain of Gold. But that's okay. I will live, I think, anyways. My cat's looking at me like I'm crazy. So, Matthew is a complete and utter drunk all the time, every time. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't really care to get it. He needs to sit there and get over himself. He's been bitched at by Lucy that he needs to stop being drunk because she's worried he's going to get her brother killed. Since they're parabaptized, and, you know, gotta trust myself that you have my back. Na, 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 na. And all that lovely jazz. So, Anna is weird. I don't really think I like Anna at all, okay? So, Anna is into women. She likes being with women, but she doesn't commit to women. So, when Cordelia is invited to go to visit Anna for tea, she's there when someone named Evangeline's being kicked out because, you know, Evangeline's getting married and she didn't want to ruin that because it's a baron she's marrying, and since she's marrying a baron, she was like, you know, you don't need me. And then while she's talking with Anna, who's getting dressed in a different room, which is weird in of itself, okay? They talk about her brother, Cordelia's brother, Alistair, and a few other things. And she was like a very weird person. And then Matthew shows up, and they go to this, what's it called? This tavern, or bar, or pub, or art place, okay? Where Malcolm Fade, even read the first one, Lady of Midnight, in the Dark Artifacts, you won't understand why I don't like him. Runs the place. Well, doesn't run the place. Someone named Hypatia Vex. Okay. Run by Hypatia Vex. Okay. So she doesn't really let Shadowhunters in because it's a downworlder place, but she lets a little bit in to make sure they, you know, are always outmatched by downworlders. While they're there, there's a mermaid called Arabella there, and they're like talking and everything like that, and Cordelia sees that Arabella has put this deadly nightshade, an underwater Baldona type poison, into the cups of Malcolm Fade and Hypatia Vex. Warlocks is what they are. And Cordelia says, well, I know you don't do anything for free, so what if we saved your lives? And they said, we're not in trouble. And she's like, stops Hypatia from drinking the poison cup and says there's poison in it. And you know, Malcolm Fade does some magic to see if it is, and it is indeed. And then so they arrest Arabella for poisoning them because she wanted to try to get Shadowhunters in trouble by poisoning and saying that, you know, the Shadowhunters did it instead of her. Meanwhile, while that's always going on, Luce is visited by Jesse, who says, hey, look, the Cerberus demons have multiplied, and I can't find my sister anywhere. I know she went to go meet James. We need to go find them because the Cerberus are going to come after her, and they will try to kill James because of the fact that they have this whole inbreed thing about protecting the Blackthorns. So yeah, we need to go. So Lucy tries to gather up people. Christopher, Thomas, Matthew, Anna, Cordelia, Grace. Well, not Grace. They all go to try to find James and Grace. Now, James was summoned by Grace, and what Grace wants James to do, because she's terrified of this woman that's raising her, that she calls her mom, to the point where she wants to get married mundane and have to cast off their marks, so that way they're just mundanes and they're no longer Shadowhunters. Because she wasn't raised to be a Shadowhunter, she was raised to be a normal fucking lady, a mundane practically. And James is like, I can't do that. I can't cast off my marks. I'd never see my family again. I'd never see anybody I love again. I love you and I'd marry you doing the Shadowhunter way, but I'm not going to marry you that way. And she's just like, ugh. And then, you know, the Cerberus demons attack, and he tries to prevent them from hurting her while she runs to hide, and then everybody else shows up and they defend. So, that happened. They make it back to... Oh, Alistair's also there because he was looking for his sister. You find out that Alistair dropped his sister off at Anna's and went to go see Charles because apparently Charles and Alistair are in love. But Alistair's the only one who said it. Charles is not. And Charles is set to marry Adrian, who is sick and possibly dying. So Alistair takes his sister and they bring them home. And Alistair speaks with Charles about everything. And he's like, I'm going to marry her because she's going to be okay with us cheating. And Alistair's like, I don't want that. Yeah, there's that. When Thomas, Christopher, Matthew, James, and Lucy get home, Ragnar Fell, who Hyperia Vex said she would get in contact with about this demon that's been summoned from a different world who can come out during the sunlight, and that he would most possibly help them. He was there. So when his mother Will and Tess, who were entertaining him, leave to go check on the sick people, they talk. Ragnarfell gives out this Emmanuel Gast, who is possibly the one that summoned them to this plane, as he's a corrupt one who would do anything for money. Well, I mean, like, he has no way of doing anything to get money because he's been cast out of Warlock Society, I guess, and doesn't make money the way that normally is done for something that he did. And he blames the Clave for it and everything. So, like, he was paid gold to summon a demon, he says. A specific demon, not multiple or many demons, a demon. So that's what he did. But there was multiple demons, so they're unsure of how that happened. And then, while they're discussing all of that stuff that goes on, Tessa and Will come back, and Thomas's sister, Barbara, has passed away from her wounds, from the severity of it. The Silent Brothers believe that the poison reached her heart and ended it. Piers and Adrian are still alive, and there's been more attacks from that. Two grown-ass adults are injured and now sick. And on top of that, it was during the night, okay? And, one guy died. Now, more attacks have happened. Tatiana has been attacked. Tatiana Blackwood has been attacked. So now we definitely know it's not fucking her. We also find out that Charles has actually broke off the engagement with Adrian. Why? Maybe because he actually does love Alistair. He's also called in all the high-ranking members of the Enclave as the son of the consul to speak about the meaning of what's happening with all these demons that are poisoning people and slowly killing them. So that's also happening. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on. I think Lucy's falling in love with Jesse even though he's a ghost and nobody can really see him but her. James and Grace are definitely in love, but Grace wants to leave the Shadowhunter world and James does not. Matthew is a perpetual drunk who, I guess can't deal with the world. Christopher loves his science stuff, and he's also starting to do research into Pierce's blood to see if there's a way to make an antidote from it, as well as this dirt that James took from the Shadow Realm. Let's see. Oh yeah, Thomas is now going to be a sad fucking mess because his sister is now dead, but he's going to stay with Christopher because his parents are going back to Idris to make it easier on them so that they're not around everything that would remind them of their dead daughter. Let's see, did I miss anybody of import? Oh yeah, Anna's weird. She's a weird person who makes everybody fall in love with her because of the way she is. The smooth talker that she is. It's just, she's weird, okay? I don't know what else you want me to say about it, but she's a weird person and I don't know if I feel comfortable with her. Anyways, I will, guys, let you know in another update tomorrow, hopefully, if I'm not too tired, of this right here, of this. We'll give you another update then, okay? Bye. Chain of Gold. I have read 2 passages from this so far. Well, about 100 and some odd, 122 pages of this since our last update. So let's do an update. Okay, update. So we are doing a update because that's what we do. So I don't like Grace. Grace is a bitch. I hate fucking Grace. I hate her so goddamn much. I want to throw her out the window because she has decided that since James will not marry her, she has Charles to marry her. Charles Fairchild to marry her. Two-timing fucking bitch. So yes, she tells James that. And says, we're going to break it off. Well, oh fuck. He no longer has understanding with her. Which is terrible. Then Matthew confronts her and learns that she never fucking cared about James. And she has this fucking weird power. She can make them do things. So my theory is that she made James think that James was in love with her to keep her attached. But that fake love was not enough to keep James to do her bidding. So she's manipulating them. And what she's trying to do is get out from underneath the woman who raised her sphere of influence. And that's why she wants to marry Charles, because of the fact that he will be consul one day when his mother steps down. And she also made Matthew kiss her in order to have blackmail material against Matthew to make him keep his mouth shut about the fact that she's using Charles. Like, what the fucking hell? That bitch. So, in his depression, he gets drunk, and James sees like a dream or something, and he sees Katona for a second time in this dream. Like, really. So, there's that. A letter is delivered to Matthew's estate. He gives it to James. James delivers it to Cordelia. Cordelia learns that her father was tried for the mortal sword, but it didn't work because he has no memory of the events of the night of the battle. So they don't know what happened, which is terrible. Then James is like, well, we can get character witnesses to vouch for him. She's like, well, we need to do that then. We need to find these people who used to know him back in the day, so that way we can get his character witnessed. And then Christopher and Christopher and Thomas come up, and they talk about the wood shards they found. It had blood of some sort of demon on one side, but not on the other. And that's when James figures it out. It's a Pyxis, Pyxis, a box that is meant to contain demons that they used during the Clockwork War, which I haven't read yet, but that's an interesting to know. And they destroyed them all because they tried to turn the demons into clockwork demons, which was terrible. Axel Mortmain had used a box to transfer demon souls into clockwork monsters. And they find out that what's ravaging the town is a manticore. A manticore demon, which can split itself into smaller parts to keep itself from being trapped. So they have to come up with a way of getting the box. That's when they remember that Hyperia, I think her name is, has a box. So they decide that they need it, and the only way to get it is by Anna. So Anna and them go there. So Anna, James, Matthew, and Cordelia go to the pub where Hyperia rules, and Lucy, Christopher, and Thomas go to spy on a meeting that's happening. So yes, that happens. And Cordelia tells a tale to distract everybody, while Anna tries to seduce Hyperia because she learns and finds out that she didn't actually seduce Hyperia, but she only ever seduces somebody once. So it's a challenge to seduce her to see if she can do it. Okay? Also, James is enthralled by Cordelia and her dancing and the things she does during our whole thing. So that happens. I got ahead of myself, but Cordelia tries to confront her brother Alistair about the fact that Charles is trying to marry Grace, and he's like, I already know he's trying to do this so we can all be together, because he wants to be together with Charles, and Alistair doesn't really like the fact that his sister spied on him. Okay. So Lucy also sat there and summoned Jesse to speak to him about it, and he says, I'm not sure there's anything anyone can do. A desire to destroy shadow hunters and to hurt them. It will not be ended soon. So there's that. That happens. I also learned that Jesse and Jessamine are two different people. One's female and dead ghost, and another one's just Jesse, a dead ghost. I thought they were the same person. I thought Jesse and Jessamine were just a shorter version of it, but it's not. I don't know how I confused that, but we're on to part 2. Of course, the conclave, the people meeting at the Horndale household that Lucy and Christopher and Thomas are spying on, are talking about everything that's happened. So there's been 6 total attacks, and not all of them were told to the kids. They've decided that they're going to lock down London. Nobody can go in or out of London. Everybody's stuck in their respective spots. So with that, they're going to do day patrol, night patrol, because only one attack was at night. The rest were during the day. And they're going to have a group of researchers to figure out what kind of demon this is so they can deal with it. All things that the other ones had already done research and figured out that it was most likely a manticore. But they weren't exactly sure about it, and they wanted to be sure about it before they said anything to anybody. So there is that. They've also received words that Barbara had actually attacked Oliver, her fiance, scratched him all to hell, and those wounds festered, and Oliver actually died from those wounds inflicted by his fiance. He died actually that morning, which is really serious. So that's why they're taking it seriously now that something is definitely going on, and there's a lot about arguments, and they're like, there's no so yeah. They just find out about all that stuff. While they're after Cordelia does her little storytelling on stage, James pulls her off, and they realize that Charles Fairchild is there, and they're wondering why he's there. So Matthew says, go, I'll distract him. I'm usually in places like this, so he won't mind much about it. I'll just have a talking to. And so James and Cordelia, they go to the whispering room where they're not supposed to be, and to distract everything, James kisses her, and she's like, oh my god, this is fake. I know why he's doing it. And then Matthew comes in, and they talk about it, and they go, well, let's go get out of here. We need to get Anna. And I was like, here's the box. And Hypatia is calling back out for her. She's like, I'm not leaving. Bye. Closes the door on their fucking faces. So they realize that the box has already got something in it, and they need to take care of that before they can do anything. And it's a lot simpler than what the old ones were. So they summon the demon out of the box and kill it, and then Magnus Bane happens to walk in, and he's like, did I just see you guys open that box on purpose and let out a Palpus demon? Yes. Magnus like, why? We need to be able to use the Pyx to trap a demon, so it had to be empty. We were just clearing it out. So they talked to Magnus about the Manticore and how they want to do stuff about it, and they're like, well, your parents did crazy things when they were your age, so yeah, I'll help you out, but I'm only going to sit there and cover the bridge, make the mundanes avoid it so you guys can fight. But if I see anything that feels funky, I am going to be telling your parents fucking immediately. Also, Magnus pulls James aside and says, that dirt you gave us comes from the world of Belfior. And he's like, Belfior? Is that the name of my father? And Magnus is like, look, You don't need to be knowing who your grandfather is. You don't need to be knowing that side of your family. You don't need to be knowing nothing about that, okay? You're you. You are who you are supposed to be, the way you are supposed to be, and how you're supposed to be, and your grandfather has nothing to do with that. But James still wants to know. He's like, well, then couldn't it be Samuel? So he still wants to know who his grandfather is, because of what that demon had said. Obviously. That's what that is. So they actually get onto the bridge and they figure out that, yeah, that's where the Manticore is. It's at this tower bridge. And so they fight it. But of course they're fucking losing because, I mean, like, they've never fought a Manticore before. But they go to trap it first and the box breaks after they trap it. So then the demon starts speaking, the Manticore starts speaking to James and says, I know who your mother is. I know who your grandfather is. Why destroy your own kind? I swear on the names of Asmodeus, of Belial, of Belfior, and Samiel, and that I end the scourge. That I can end this scourge if you will come with me. No more need to die. So the Manticore says, if you come with me to the world that you can see, the world that I exist in, the world that I am feeding from and how I get stronger, I will end this scourge and nothing bad will ever happen. And he's like, no. So the demon's like, ungrateful. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. He also tells him, you can't slay me here. My roots are deep within another realm. As I feed there, I grow stronger. I am a legion who cannot be touched. So it doesn't fucking work. And Cordelia gets shoved into the water and goes under. And Lucy goes down there to try to get her back. And Lucy yells for help to bring her out. And a big bunch of ghosts come out of it. Of course, she thinks Jesse had something to do with it. But Jesse Blackthorn did not, which she finds out later. But yes, a bunch of ghosts come out carrying Cordelia. Cordelia dreams of the time of, in days past. It shows us that Cordelia wants to be a hero, but she wants to be a merciful hero because of one side of Cordelia's sword katana is sharp and one side is dull. And Alistair wants it because he's Alistair Carstairs, and of course, but if his sister gets it, his sister who will marry, and they won't be Carstairs anymore, who will have Cortana. But she's like, Cortana's mine, I know it. And Cortana disappears from Alistair's hands to Cordelia's. And their father's like, Cortana, sometimes the sword chooses to bear. So Will and Tessa find out what they're up to, sort of. They know it's a Manticore. They know they were trying to trap it. They know they fought it. They know they prepared for it, hoping that it wasn't something necessary. But they don't know every detail. But now they know that Manticore is the core of all their problems. The adults can start working on trying to get rid of the Manticore and, save the motherfucking day. James goes, I'll bring Cortana back to Cordelia, because, that's only right. And Cordelia gets dropped off by Thomas and Christopher to her house, and they're like, well, you heard what they were, it looked like the demon was talking to James, what was he saying? And she said, it just growls. Protecting James's secret. James arrives with Cortana to stop her mother from preaching that swords are not everything. It's better to have the warrior and then to lose the sword, because losing the warrior is worse than losing the weapon. So they talk, and they talk about it, and James is like, finds out that Cordelia's in on it to help those who are sick, but also to try and promote leniency for her father's trial. He says, I do not think that I can find you a husband now because I wanted to kiss you. It wasn't fake. And then he talks about how I wonder sometimes now that it was a dream. I idolized her. Talking about Grace. I don't know if I was ever in love with her. For so many years I loved her. I know. I remember that love ruled my life. he's like, how can I have loved her so much and feel what I feel now for, of course, for Cordelia? And then the door opens and it's ruined because Alistair's like, I don't know what my mother's thinking, leaving you two in here alone. I don't want you ruining my sister's reputation because she needs to be wed. Because I've been protecting her. You don't know what I've been doing to protect her. And so she sends James away and learns that her father is a fucking drunk. He's an alcoholic. And he's been an alcoholic. And she's never seen him. But everybody else knows he's an alcoholic. And that's why he can't remember what happened that night. Is because he was fucking drunk off his ass. So for all they know, he could have actually sent them out there to die in that nest of vampires. And she's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? Yeah, I didn't want you to know the kind of pain and sacrifice that I had to do. That I had to grow up at the age of 10 and take care of my own fucking father to keep things going in our household. I've had to sacrifice everything to make sure you didn't know. That everything seemed fine in our household. And then, you know, that's terrible, you know, being 10 years old and having to realize that you had to take care of shit. No wonder why you're so cold and standoffish towards Cordelia and wanting her to save her father. And he's like, that is why mother wants you married quickly, so you will be safe when the shame of it comes down. Which is, what about you? I have my own weakness as well, as you well know. So he thinks the love he has for for Charles is his weakness. And Cordelia's like, no shame should occur to you either. And Alistair's like, you can't protect me, but we can protect you by getting you married off. Bah! That's so terrible. And then Lucy, of course, calls, Lucy, talking to Jessamine. And Jessamine are, like, teasing her about some stuff. That's when Jessie shows up. And, like, she sends Jessamine alone, even though Jessamine doesn't leave her alone with a ghost. It's a dead ghost. What can a dead ghost do? And she's like, I wanted to say I'm thankful for you bringing the dead to help Cordelia. And he's like, I didn't do it. I answered the call. And that's when she finds out that she actually called the dead, not Jessie. She did. She called for them, and they helped her. He actually felt the call and came. And he was going to use this golden locket, which held his last breath, to save Lucy if Lucy was dying by drowning, by expelling the water from her ears. And he explains how he died. So, he was a sickly child. And as he grew up, he wanted to be a shadow hunter, and he wanted his mark, so that way he could become a shadow hunter. His first and his last wound was the same one, and it's what killed him. The mark that was put on him made him bleed to death. And Grace was there to see it. So, his mother took his locket and placed it against his lips and captured his last breath there. So, he was going to use the thing that his mother believed, that he could be brought back to life. That she has all the ingredients a warlock needs to bring him, to reanimate him, to resurrect him. So that's what she wants. But he was going to use his last breath to save Lucy if he was drowning. And she's like, why would you do that for me? That's some heavy shit. Well, we ended on, of course, we have ended on page 430. So now that we are almost to the end, literally, we're only like 3 reads off. I might just sit there and make it 2 reads, or 1.5 reads, or 2 reads. Might make it just 2 reads, so that way I'll be done it, in 2 more days. So that way I can get on to the Never War. But yeah, that's where we are right now with that. So I hope y'all have enjoyed that so far, of me blabbering about this shit. If you guys stick around for another clip, we'll talk more about it in the next one. Okay, so I finished this. I finished this. That's not the way I wanted to go. There we go. Yeah, I finished this. Chain of Gold, like I said before. The last hour is book 1. That's what I did. Okay. So, where we left last up. So, I'm gonna tell you now, I hate Grace. Grace can die. Grace can fucking die, okay? She can die, okay? I don't care. I want her dead. At this current moment in books, I want her dead. And now I gotta go buy Chain of Iron. Yay. Okay, so, apparently Matthew thinks he killed someone. I mean, tonight someone died because of me, because of my actions, someone I loved, someone I didn't know, but I love them just the same. So, I don't know what happened there. They don't really describe how that person died or anything like that. So, there's weird shit there. So, but they have figured out, okay, James and Christopher has figured out the antidote. They just need one more ingredient, and it's called a malus root, and it's rare because it has to be soaked in the blood of humans? Yeah, murdered mundanes. Really creepy. So they make a plan to go get it, okay? They make a plan to go get it. All of them do. You know, there's Lucy, Matthew, Cordelia, James, Christopher, Thomas. They all want to go do it, okay? So when they leave the manor, outside the manor, waiting for them are Korra demons, which are part of the Manticore, and they attack. And Christopher gets raked right across of him. So great, wonderful. Christopher, who is going to make the antidote and save all those people, is now part of it. But he says that he expects Thomas is able to do it. Thomas will be able to do it. Will be able to do the cure. And I just realized you guys have like this bright sunlight back there. Like, look how bright that is. Could I just do this? Maybe I just need to shift the camera just a little bit so that way you don't get that bright shit, okay? My face gets a little darker on this side, but that's okay. And Cordelia learns that her mother's gonna have a baby. Yay. So they still make the plan, right? But then something comes up, and they get a note from Jem to come to Silent City. They have something. He has something he wants to tell them. So, Cordelia, James, and Matthew decide to go to Silent City, while Thomas and Lucy decide to go to the Chiswick house where the Blackthorns were to get the last ingredient that they needed. Because they definitely needed it because they needed to help Christopher, right? Okay. So when they get there, unfortunately, things are not the same as it's supposed to be. And Christopher tells him to get out of here. You have to get out. You have to leave. James, you don't understand. It's about you. It's always been about you. And then Adrian sits there and says that James Harrondale has been summoned. The Prince, the Lord of Thieves. Only he can stop the Dawn. Only he can call off the Manticore, the Poison Bringer. You carry the taint now, Harrondale. Your blood can open the gateway. And then they all disappear. So James finally understands everything that's going on. And so he decides to go through this gateway to go meet the one who has technically summoned him. And that was Baal, who stole Belfior's world thousands of years ago and manipulates it any way he wants to. He tells James, just let me in, possess you, and you can stop the Manticore from doing anything, and you can cure all the people, because we can do that, and everything will be good. Of course, James had been injured by Adrian, so now they had him also going to be dying. So they say, well, you can't go in there by yourselves, James. We can't let you do that. And so they tie a rope around him and say, well, you tug it 3 times, we're going to yank you out. He doesn't tug the rope, but they realize something is wrong. And, yeah, Cordelia goes in. She uses Cortana to break in to Belfior's plane. Well, not Baal's plane. To attack. Now, Baal cannot leave the plane. He is the only one forbidden from walking on in the mortal world by the gods and everything. But all his other siblings can. Like, Belfior can walk on the mortal plane with just his own body. But Baal has to take somebody else's form. Possess them. Yeah. So, Thomas go to break into Chiswick's, and that's when they see Grace talking to Jesse's coffin. And that's just weird. There's a shadow that forms, which turns out to be Baal, who talks about him. No, not just Baal, but a thing I name Tar. So there was enchantments that were broken, and named Tar will strengthen them. It's roughly beyond your imagining. Remember, all you care for can be destroyed with one word from him, with one flick of this. So actually, no, wait, Baal does not form yet, but she talks to Baal. Apparently, he's still around. But anyways, Lucy flings out, and they attack the demon, Namtar. And they tell Grace to run. And then Grace is like, I don't understand. How can you see Jesse? Right? And then she's like, I don't know how I can see. Lucy's like, I don't know. I really don't know. And then they're like, well, we're here because we need this malice root, and it's here in the garden, and we're going to take it to cure them. And she's like, oh, well, take it and go. And then Lucy's like, oh no, my brother's in danger. I have to go save him. There's something wrong. I have to go save James. You go and take this route and back to the thing. So she calls for Jesse. Because, you know, she calls for Jesse. And she tells Jesse Blackthorn, I command you to bring me with you to my brother. Take me to Highgate Cemetery. And he says, Lucy, no. And she says, I command it. She can command ghosts. Okay. So because the rope went slack, Cordelia, of course, goes in and there, and she sees the Manticore. While that's happening, Thomas goes to the to the Fairchild's home to use the laboratory, Christopher's laboratory, and he runs into Charles, and he's like, let me in, I need to do this. He said, I already know about Christopher, I need to use the laboratory downstairs, Christopher can't, so I will. He's like, no, don't be released, people are dying. He's like, I'm not playing about. And Alistair appears and says, let him in. And so Alistair actually kind of helps him get in there to do it, and he's like, I just need 20 minutes. And so he's like, okay, destroy nothing, but I gotta go. Charles leaves. So they make the antidote. And he's like, after we make the antidote, I'm going to go find my sister. Because, you know, I'm protective of my sister. All the whole 9 yards. James is like, tells Baal, Prince of Hell, let my sister go home. She doesn't need to be here. This is not her no, my sister. Let Cordelia go home. She doesn't need to be here. You have me. Just let her go. And Cordelia's like, no, I'm not going to abandon you. And then Baal steals Cortana. And so they're fighting. Well, James is. And, he's like, Baal's like, give up. You're never going to defeat the Manticore. I'll have it strike you down. And then he hears a whisper. Shadows. You must build a... Then he remembers what Jem said. You must build a fortress of control around yourself. You must come to know this power so that you may master it. And so, with his own will, because he was his, are you not my heir, my own flesh and blood? Baal said that to him. He uses his own will to manipulate the world and destroy the Manticore. Yay! And then Cordelia summons Cortana and injures Baal. Fools, you have no idea what you've done. Then they go back. And Lucy appears, of course, with Matthew. And then James and Cordelia fall out of the sky. And she's like, James is poisoned, see to him. And they're like, oh no. Izzard's weren't working, he was fading fast. And Jesse's like, give him mine. He says, doesn't matter, this is his life, not a shadow of life, 9 years without waiting in the dark. And he's like, he's too close to death. So she takes a locket that has Jesse's last breath in it and puts it up to James's mouth. And it expels all of the black whatever that got into him through fighting with the Manticore. No, what Christopher gave him. And he lived. He asked who Jesse was because he saw Jesse for just a second. Who are you? She said, it's a long story. We killed the Manticore. Oh, Daisy, you're late because Cordelia's leg is broken. Then their parents show up. After Alistair shows up because Alistair does. And they show up and they're like, what the hell happened here? And Cordelia's like, the Manticore has been defeated. It will not return. Because James killed it. James killed the Manticore demon. I saw it die. Alistair brings Cordelia home. And then you find out that Alistair has changed. Because in the academy, you're either bullied or you're the bully. So he became the bully. But he definitely loves his sister. Let's see. Oh, this is why I hate her, okay? So, Grace shows up and they talk. And he's like, Grace, I must. So she's like, I need to talk to you. So they talk and she's like, spilling everything. Talking about how her mother dabbled into everything black magic and necromancy and demons for her brother. And she's like, they cannot arrest her. No one can know. They will see how deeply she's sunk. And then she's like, James, I'm so sorry, but she insisted and he insisted it had to be you. My mother made me her blade to cut every barrier raised against her, but your blood, his blood, is a barrier I cannot cut. I cannot bind you without his chain. So she puts a chain on him. And hurry click, like a lock turning on a metal circle over close on his. A spark of pain traveled up his arm, like a sudden shock of electricity. And then he's all like, I love Grace. I have to do everything for Grace. Bitch. You a fucking bitch. That's what she is, okay? Jim and Lucy talk, and she talks about how she will not say anything about what happened at the house. She'll say nothing. Then she talks to Jessie, and Jessie says, I am fading, and she's like, I promise I will bring you back, because you saved my brother, so I'm going to find a way to save you. And he's like, promise you will not try to help me. So she's like, Grace wants James to destroy I hate fucking Grace. To destroy an automation that would activate if her mother died upon her death, to destroy Shadowhunters and Idris. And she's like, will you help me? And he's like, loyalty binds me, Grace, and even if it did not, I am yours and you are mine. I would do anything for you. You know I must still marry Charles. It's so fucking irritating. She's like, yeah, I'll do it. So, oh, right, Grace's bracelet is back on him. And that's the chain, I'm going to assume. And he's like, I'm fine, better than ever. And then she says something that Cordelia thinks about. So he says, she made me understand that everything she has done because she loves me. Now I must do something for her. And it was actually, no, that's not that. The thing he does is so he and I can be together. And that's what he says about her. He says everything she does is for us. So they can be together. So it's the same thing that Alistair said about Charles, which is terrible in my opinion, because that means a lot of shit's gone down. And he does think Daisy my angel, but he doesn't dwell on it because he shakes his head. So he might be fighting it. And Cordelia's like, this is how it must be. This is how it must be. And so he goes to burn down the house. But they go through. And they find him. And they bring him back. And everybody is revived, of course. So they have to think about an explanation on what happened. Right? Lucy thinks it's a pity that no one will ever know that James, Cordelia, and Matthew are heroes for foiling a demonic plan to attack Idris. And Thomas is like, we will always know. To being secret heroes. So they had the entire enclave, and they're waiting for the consul to come, and of course, then Spain shows up, of course, as well. So, he acknowledges that, he says, as you know, the intelligence of disease was developed in my father's laboratory at Grover Square, but he does give knowledge to acknowledges that without it, Christopher Lightwood, Cordelia Carstairs, and James wouldn't have done. And then Tatiana goes to her fate. James Carndel's a fraud. He is tied to demons. It's probably his fault. James is like, I will not deny it. Everyone knows it. It is true. It has always been true, and no one has ever tried to hide it. And then she's like, he's conspired against the enemy. I'm going to claim evidence of plot. Then where is the evidence? It was in my house. In my house in Idris. I gathered it all. This demon spawn, burned my house to the ground. Why else would he do that? Even to protect his own. Protect his secret. Gabriel Lightwood's like, Tatiana, why we heard nothing about this fire? And, she stabs back at Gabriel. And Gideon's like, that bloody house was a fire trap because you refused to look after it. It is very ill done for you to try to drag James into this. Very ill done. And then Bridgestock shouts, James, Harndale, is there any truth what Mr. Of course there isn't, said Will. He told Grace he did it. Ask her what James did. The fact is, the truth is that James... So, Grace was trying to say something. The truth is that James... And then Cordelia shot her feet. The truth is that James Harndale did not burn down Blackthorn Manor last night. James cannot have been in Idris. He was with me in my bedroom all night. So she ruined her own reputation to save James. I mean, she does love James. And then Grace was like, I'm sure Cordelia is correct. James must be innocent. And Tatiana is sputtering. She was like, if it wasn't James, it was one of you, Matthew Fairchild, Thomas Lightwood, Christopher Lightwood. One of them is responsible. I know it. And then Charlotte Fairchild, the consul, marches into the room. She says that she was investigating the fire that claimed the Blackthorn Manor last night. And she says, I spent several hours with a group of Alisante guards peeking through the record to the home. There are many items present there associated with it imbued with necromantic magic and demonic magic, both of which are forbidden to shadow hunters. And she's like, I had to do it for my son. So, yeah. They arrest her for all the black magic, which is terrible. And, James tried to convince Cordelia to take back, and she says you can't. Once it's been said, a woman is still sullied. So, James asked her to marry him for 1 year. Marry me for 1 year, and then you can divorce me and say we were just not meant to be. Because he loves Grace. So she agrees 1 year. Will is angry at his son, but he says, I'm marrying her. And so she has cemented a marriage that her mother wanted to protect her family, protect her. Grace will move in with the Bridgestocks. With Adrian and her family, because she insisted on it. Adrian actually is in love with Anna, okay, and wants to get together with her again because she says, I'm going to earn your love back. Also, she told cousin Jem that she wanted her father to go to the Basilius as a patient, so that way maybe they could, cure him. But of course the charges against him have been dropped because she was a hero now. And so they dropped the charges, because even though he doesn't remember the events, they just dropped him. He says, and then he's like, love is complicated. Because she's like, aren't you going to be happy? Alexander is Cicely and Gabrielle's child, and he's here, shows up once. I don't understand why. I really don't know. Where else is it? Oh yeah, Charles. Alistair breaks it off with Charles. He says, I do not plan to be at home ever again for you. Kick his ass to the curb, Alistair. You deserve so fucking much better, because he's not willing to get with anyone that is a man, because he's afraid that he won't become the consul if he does. And if you really love somebody, you will do whatever you fucking can for them. Okay? Just like, because she says, I could be with you in a year, Dre says, I could be with you in a year, a long engagement with Charles, you divorce Cordelia, it could be done. James said nothing. He felt as if he was being torn in two, brutally and literally. He fought back the words, yes, wait for me, I will wait for you, Grace. I remember the forest, the shadows, your ivory dress, Grace. But he doesn't, so he's fighting. In some way, shape, or form. He is fighting it. I hope he continues fighting. But Anna and Adrian Bridgestock, that is interesting. I did not really think that was something. I know you're strong-willed and all like wood, but I am just as strong-willed. I will change your mind. I will win you back. Let's see. This is at a dance. Oh, yes. Matthew reveals something that Alistair did. He did a source of a big-ass rumor. A terrible rumor. That was like, where it was just terrible. It was, that my mother and your father were lovers, that I was your father's bastard. He told me that Henry was only a half a man and couldn't father children, and therefore Gideon had stepped into the breach. He said that your mother was so hideously ugly because of her scarred face that no one could blame your father for looking elsewhere, and that you were a sickly, ugly little thing because you had inherited her weakness of constitution, because she had been a mundane, but not just a mundane, a servant and a whore. And the answer is like, not the source says, I did not say all those things to Matthew, but you did say them to others. He said, I spread the story, I repeated those words. I did that, but I am sorry. And Thomas is like, don't you say you were sorry. You think I've never heard that tale? Of course I have. But Matthew may have tried to protect me. I have heard my mother weep over it. My father in court with rage and sorrow. My sisters crushed with shame over lies. You repeated those words. He was like, Alistair was like, they were just words. I didn't think they would affect anything. Oh, this is the engagement party for Cordelia and Alistair. Alistair leaves. Lucy tries to stop him, but she doesn't. Grace and Lucy speak for a few minutes, and Lucy's like, you don't have to marry Charles. And she's like, please, I have to. And no one tell me that James doesn't really want to marry Cordelia. I know that too. I never said that. No, this was you and I spoke with him. I know that he told you not to help him, and I know that the Herndals are honorable. If he asks you not to help him, you won't. But what use do you imagine I have for another person who won't help my family? That shows how well you know me, Miss Blackthorn. I have every intention of doing all I can to help Jesse, whether he wants me to or not. And she's like, do tell me more. Fucking snake of a bitch. Magnus and Matthew talk, and Matthew looks up to Magnus being like tip-top for him. So he's like, Matthew might actually be in love with Cordelia. And I also don't know why these couple pages are like razor broken. Really don't. Magnus thinks he should linger in London a little longer because of things going on. James and Cordelia talk about Bale's realm being destroyed, seeing as the only place he could go to. She's like, we must think of this as a venture, being married. And he's like, we fooled them all. She's like, well, I have to marry a guy who doesn't love me, even though I love him. And then you find out that Bale had planned it all. Now Tatiana is going into the Adamant Citadel, and she will strike it from the inside. Well, no, Tatiana. I thought that was Grace talking. She, of course, said, I thought I prepared James Herndale, but I failed. And he's like, you prepared him when he came to my realm. There was no bracelet on his wrist. He was protected. It was on a meeting he had it on today, but he didn't have it then. That was not all. You did not tell me that the Carstairs girl bears one of the blades of Wayland the Smith. He says, this wound will not keep me down for a century, so I'll be back, and you will strike within the clave, because that's where you're going. And we'll strike together. So there's still plots happening, and that's of course why there's the second book and the third book probably. So now I have to buy Chain of Iron for the last hours. Shadowhunters. So my favorite character, honestly, I don't really know if I do have a favorite character. I mean, I like Cordelia and James. I guess Lucy. Lucy would be my favorite character because Lucy's just honest to God trying to help people out. And especially since she can see Jesse, she's like, I want to help Jesse. And I think it's because she's falling in love with him more than anything else in the world. So I think that's what it is. And I think it's kind of cute that she fell in love with a dead boy. Or she's falling in love with a dead boy. My most disliked character, Grace. Not even Tatiana, because you know Tatiana for what she is, but Grace for manipulating two boys. She is using Charles and she is using James, and she's making them want her. And then she sat there and manipulated fucking Matthew. crack open that nut scale. I'm gonna punch the fuck out of them. What stood out as memorable? I don't know. You guys might if you've read the Infernal Devices, but I have not. But there is something that happened with Tatiana's family that killed them off, including her own son. Now, the thing is that she hates all Shadowhunters because of it. And I'm not sure what it was that tipped the scale, but I can tell you now that that lady needs to get the fuck over the fact that, I mean, not get over the fact that her family's dead, but quit blaming other people. Okay? Just quit. Quit blaming them. It's not their fucking fault. It's not James's fucking fault. So quit blaming James. Quit trying to do shit. Quit. My favorite passage. Okay, so I don't think I really have a favorite passage, but here we have one that I sort of like. He saw her there, the blade in her hand, her hair like fire. That's it. I think that's it. I looked, and I don't think there's any passage that really calls out to me. But the quote that I like the best, my favorite quote is, "I do not plan to be at home to you ever again." Alice just says to Charles. That's like my favorite quote so far that I know of. I don't really want to go browsing through the whole thing to find it, because I do have a lot of tabs and marks and stuff, but it's just a lot of searching, and I don't really want to do that. What did I think of the ending of the book? Okay, so the ending of this book, I don't like the fact that they set up more shit for it. I don't. Like, fuck. More shit. More bad shit. More bad shit, okay? James is sitting there gonna marry Cordelia for a year because that's what he thinks he wants, because he thinks he loves Grace. Grace is marrying Charles because it's the only way to get her out from underneath her mother's feet. Tatiana wants to destroy Shadowhunters. All of them. For what happened to her family, including her son, because nobody would help her bring her son back to life. But it's illegal to bring her son back to life. Necromancy is illegal. What book did it remind me of? Lady Midnight. Why is it that she likes to torture her fucking characters? They don't even get together. This is not an official get-together. It's not an official get-together. Just like in Lady Midnight, it is not official get-together. They don't officially get together. Fuck, man. This book is, as part of a series. It's called The Last Hours, and there's 3 of them in it, but it's also part of a bigger series called The Shadow Hunters, which has the Mortal Instruments, and that has 6 books, and then the Infernal Devices, which has 3, so that's 9, plus the Dark Artifacts, which has 3, so that's 12. It also has the Elder Curses, which is 2 books, so that's 14. Then, the extended universe for the Shadowhunters, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So that's another 8. So that's 18 books plus the 3 for this one, which makes it 22. 19, 20, 21. 21. So that's 21 books so far. There might even be more. I don't know. But anyways, that's it. Wrong. I rate this a 4. This is a 4. So I will continue on reading it. So that's a 4. I don't like the way she tortures her main couples. I really, really don't like that. So, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, and your lovely subscription, would you go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you next week.